Okay. So today we will discuss. Okay, yesterday we had done with the VMSs. Few concepts are left. So Vamsi will be covering them in the upcoming sessions. So we have a plan for that. So for now, today we will start the important topic of networking. So networking is a very important topic which plays a major role in how to configure your IP address, the underlying VMs and everything. So I will explain the basic how a VNet will be looking and what is the importance of the networking. So let me go to my paint. Okay. Okay. So consider you are working in one organization. So every organization needs to secure the resources. So how they will be securing the resources is they will be creating a separate network, and then they will be hosting all their resources into that particular network. So what happens is, okay, I will consider this is my virtual network, and let's say I wanted to host any things like VM, app service, key vault, and all other things. So I what I have done is these are all the resources. So I have created a virtual network and I have hosted all of them here. So now if you wanted to I consider I'm a third party member. So if I wanted to access any of these resources, so what I will do is I will be hitting them through a URL. So let's say this is my app service. Consider this is my app service. Consider this my app service. So I want what I need to do is I wanted to hit this URL. Just giving an example only. This might not be the exact scenario. So app.azure websites.net. So what you will be having is whenever other third party member is trying to access this, either that third party member should be part of this domain. What is the domain is trying to access? So authorization and authentication might happen, and he will be trying to access this app service. So this is one thing. Now consider if you are developing this app service. If you are wanted to develop this app service, what you should require is you should have access to this app service and the underlying code under it. So you will be going to the Azure portal, and after navigating to the Azure portal, then what you will see is if you are having able to access this app service or not. And you can see this app service in the Azure portal, but the thing is if you wanted to connect this app service to the another database, so what I will do is I will draw one database here. So this is my DB. So if I wanted to connect my app service to this database, so it will connect directly because all these app, what is infrastructure present, it is all present in the same virtual network. So in this way it will be able to connect. So this is the main outline of this. Before going to deep dive in this, I will explain what is an IP address, what is a subnet, and all the nomenclature here. Consider okay, I will explain the IP address. So we will be having a notation. What is that notation is called as? Let me go to, yeah, CADR notation. So CADR notation is nothing but classless internal domain routing notation. So what is this is, okay, yeah. So CADR notation, for this we will be having a specific format. So generally if you see any IP, you will be having a two formats. Generally you will be seeing like for IPv format only, IPv4 format. So this format will be like 10.0 dot 0 dot 0 dot slash this will be the IP format. So consider I will see my what is my IP address. What I'll do is I'll do go to my Google and I'll search for what is my IP address. So when you search what is my IP address, you will see here it is in the 4 format. See 160.238.75.10. So, okay, I will copy this here to my paint. So this is the IPv4 format. So in the similar way, we will be having a IPv6 format. So how this IPv6 format has originated is, so when all these IPs are about to end, then they have came up with an idea of IPv6, and then they have started the decommissioning the IPs that are not being used in the IPv4. So that is why we will be having availability of both IPv4 and IPv6. So I'll try to show my IPv6 how it is looking like. So might be it is not coming here. So IPv6 will be in the format of 8 digit thing. IPv6 address example. So this is the way how IPv6 will be looking like. It will be in an 8 digit format, 8 groups it will be having, and each letter will be having 4 digits. So I will show here. So this is nothing but IPv6 form, IPv6 address. So if you see here, 2001 is one block, and then 0db8 is one block, and okay, I will try to paste it again here. Okay. So here you can see like 2001 is one block, 0bd8 is one block, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 blocks in the IPv6 address, and each block will be consisting of 4 characters. So it is like an alphanumeric characters. So you can so there will be no limit like this IP will be ending. So here we can form unlimited number of formats. You can form this IP, and there will be no completion of this IPv6 address. Coming to the IPv4 address, so in generally we will be using this IPv4 address, and based on the project needs we can go with IPv6 format also, but preferably is IPv4 only. So coming to the IPv4 notation, classless interdomain routing, this notation here notation will be in the format of, I'll explain here. So consider x dot y dot z dot w slash n. Okay, so this is nothing but x dot y dot z dot will be in a numerical format. All these terms are in a numerical format only. Here you will be having a slash. So after the slash, what is the number you are providing? It depends upon how many IP address you can allocate. Okay, I will start this with fresh one. Okay, okay. Consider here I am having an IP address of 10.1.0.0. So after slash, what is the number you are giving? It will be taking that number of IP address based on that. So it will be starting with 32. So and then 10.1.0.0 slash 31. So what 32 will be showing here is every block will be represented in the form of 2 power format. So 32 is nothing but 2 power 0, 2 to the power of 0. So nothing but 2 to the power of 0 is 1. So what happens is one IP address will be assigned here. One IP address will be allocated. Will be allocated. Okay, one IP address will be allocated, and that the number the IP address will be like, okay, what is IP address is 10.1.0.0. So this will be my IP address. If we consider that slash 31, what happens is the power, it will be like 2 to the power of 1. So what happens is 2 power 1 is 2. So what happens is 2 IP addresses will be allocated for me. Addresses will be allocated, and what will be the IP addresses is 10.1.0.0, and one more thing is 10.1.0.1. So it will be like a 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on, the number will be there. So in the same way here you will be having 10.1.0.0 slash 30. So in the same format you will be having this. I will be pasting couple of things here. Okay, so here after 30 means 30 means you will be having the 2 power 2 to the power of 2. So you will be having 4 IP addresses allocated, and let me try to add some other time here. Okay, so here if you consider 29 here, so what happens is here it will the address IP address will be allocated for 2 to the power of 3. So here we will be allocated 8 IP addresses, and then here you will be allocated 28, and here it will be 2 to the power of 4. So it will be like a descending order how we are going here. 16 IP addresses will be allocated, and then 27, 26, 25, and then 24. So generally what will be preferable is 10.0.24 will generally they will be going with the IP address range. So the maximum preferable things will be in 24 range, and then they will go with 16 range. So I'll tell you here. So as you understand here, I'm skipping and I'm writing you what is the IP address is 32. Here you will be allocated 64 IP address, 128, 256. So 256 address range is the wide range where it will be allocated the all IP addresses. So what is the starting IP here is 10 dot 10 dot 0 1 dot 0 dot 0, and the end IP address will be 10 dot 1 dot 0 dot 0 10.0 255. So because as already 0 is one IP address, ending will be 255. So out of this IP 256 address range address spaces, you cannot consume all the IP address spaces. Here we will be having totally, okay, we hope you understand till now here how the address space will be allocated based on this notation. So whenever you are seeing any notation here, then you can say like, okay, if it is 24, then 256 address space will be allocated. If it is 27, it is 2 to the power of 5. So 32 address spaces will be allocated. So this is the way how you can know how many address space will be allocated. And I'm considering this one. Okay, let me tell you. So this is the way how address space will be allocated. Someone is trying to. Yes, Kanai. You have any doubt?
So yes, yes, I do have a doubt here. So for 10.1.0.0/24,
Hmm.
it will allocate 256 IP addresses.
256, yes, correct. IP address spaces, correct.
So on 25, it allows 128, right?
Yeah, correct. On 25, it will allow 128, exactly.
Up to 128, we can
So
allocate the
how
IP addresses.
how you will be having here is here 10.0 10.1.0.0 to
0.0,
till it will come like
127.
127. Yeah, correct, exactly. 127. Yeah. So these many IP addresses will be allocated, and you can use these IP addresses. So I will tell you how to create subnet and VNet now based on this. Okay. So
Okay.
first you can take this concept into mind, then we can understand what are the things. So consider I am taking this one as an example, and I'll explain how generally in IP address things will be allocated. I'll consider this one. So generally 256 address spaces should be we can utilize, but out of that only 251 will be utilized. Okay. So here generally 256 address spaces are available, but 5 address spaces will be blocked from the Azure side. I mean, so what is the network provider? 5 addresses spaces will be blocked, so you cannot utilize them. So what does those 5 IP addresses is 10.1.0.0 till 1, and 1 also will be blocked, 2 also will be blocked, 3 also will be blocked, and the last IP address will be blocked, 1.0.255. So what is the available range you can utilize is 10.1.0.4 till you can utilize 10.1.0.254. So whenever you are creating any virtual network, I mean virtual machine on all the things, so these will be these will be consumed by that resource, and then you can utilize from 10.1.0.4 to 10.1.0.254. So I will show you that in the I have prepared PPT for that. Okay. So consider this is the Azure resources. What happens is it will reserve the first 4 IP addresses and the last IP addresses totally within each subnet. So for example, the IP address range is /24. Then what happens is it will 10.1.1.0 will be used for network address, and then other 1.1 is used for default gateway, and then 2 3 will be reserved for Azure to map to the Azure DNS exact DNS IPs what are there exactly, and the last one will be used for network broadcast address. So these are the things that will be taken from the Azure side. So but what is the thing you should understand is the all the 5 IP address will be blocked, and the remaining 251 you can utilize whenever you are creating subnet or anything. So when if you are following a dynamic address pattern, so what happens is I'll tell you what is static and dynamic. So whenever you have put as dynamic IP address, what happens is it will automatically pick this first address as 10.1.0.4 instead of picking 10.1.0.0. and then it will allocate based on the start IP, based on the each and every subnet. So hope you are clear on this. Mohit and Hari has joined late, right? You understand these concepts, or shall I repeat once?
Karen.
Okay. Okay, this is the how IP address will be allocated. Now we will discuss about what is. Okay, let me go to the PPT and go through this flow. Yeah. So and coming to the networking, there will be many Azure concepts here. Okay, let me go to the point options. Yeah. So coming to the Azure networking components, there are many networking components that are offered from the Azure side. So out of these, there are virtual network, load balancer, application gateway, traffic manager profile, VNet gateway, and virtual WAN. So out of these, virtual network is very important because in each and every project where you are working, this definitely Azure virtual network will be used because you need to isolate all your environment from being exposed to the outside world, and you will be having the load balancer. Load balancer is nothing but it will be distributing the network based on the incoming request and how you have configured your VMSS or everything. So you not to worry of this. We will explain in detail all the things. And the application gateway, you just know here what is the names of all these resources at the first time. And coming to the what is a virtual network? Virtual network is nothing but is a representation of your own network in your cloud. Generally, in your on-premises, you will be having a separate network. The same ideology Azure is trying to implement. So what it was trying to implement is instead of in the on-premises you are having a separate network because no other people can try to come and access your network. The same way, Azure is also giving a provision like you create your own network based on your needs. So we will provide you the resources. How we will provide the resources is how you can create the IP address and what is the subnet. Those all we can decide in our architectural way how we are carrying forward. So it is you can see like it is a logical isolation of your Azure cloud dedicated to your subscription. So you can go through this PPT. Yeah. Coming to the what is a subnet actually? So in the name itself, we can say like it is a subnet. Subnet is nothing but is a part of some network. So how? Okay. So give me a second.
Yeah.
Consider a subnet. So what is a subnet is? Okay, I'll explain this one here. Okay. Consider a virtual network. So virtual network is nothing but you are creating some separate network and you are trying to host all your resources in that particular network. Okay, let us consider a virtual any app service. Okay, I have consider three resources, uh, two app services, let us consider two web apps, two function apps, and then one key vault, and then one virtual machine. So what you wanted to do is you wanted to have this networking restricted for this. So what you are thinking is few address spaces I wanted to get allocated to web apps and function apps. I need to have them in a separate network, and then keyword in a separate net. Okay, keyword in a separate network, and then I need to have my virtual net VM in a separate network. So separate network in the sense the address spaces I need to split them accordingly. So what I will do is I will create a virtual network here. I will take the address range as I consider this is my address range is 10.1.0.0/24. So what happens is uh, here 256 address spaces will be allocated. So 256 address spaces will be allocated here. So what is the first address space is 10.1.0.0/24. 0 dot, let's say, consider I'm putting as to 0 only here till 255, 10 dot 1 dot 0 dot 255. So this is my total, this complete VNet range. So now what I will do is, now two web apps and two function apps I need to have it separately. One key vault I need to have separately, and one VM I need to have separately. So this virtual network, I can divide this into multiple parts. So how I can divide these multiple parts is, I can create a subnets. So it is like a one chocolate you are dividing into pieces. The same way here I am dividing this into multiple subnets. This is subnet 1, subnet 2, subnet 3, subnet 4, like this multiple subnets I will be dividing this all the things. And then it is based on the address range and address space you are allocating. It will be the size also will be differing for the subnet and subnets accordingly. Let's say here for my virtual machine I need to have a big space. So what I will do is, will allocate my VM here, and then I need to divide this 256 address space into equally out of them. So I will allocate my VM address space here, and then I will give 10.1.0.0 by let's say 29. 29 in the sense, how many address space will be allocated? 32 is 1, 31 is 2, 30 is 4, and then here I will be adding 8 address spaces. Let's say 8 will be not sufficient for me. I will go with 7, 64. So 64 IP address space will be allocated here. So what I will do is, first I have given this priority. So what I will do is 10.1.0.4. It will be starting from here, and then 64 here. 4 plus 6 means it will be allocated till 68. 10.1.0.68. My address range is for this VM is from this range to 10.0.4 to till 68. Now I have completed my VM here. Now what I will do is, I will go for my keyword. Keyword is a very light object. I need only one address space here, let's say. Now what I will do, I will come here, and then I will allocate my keyword here. One keyword. So it is like a division what you are performing. So I will go here, and then I will allocate the address ranges 10.1.0.0 divided by 32. So what happens is, only one IP address range will be allocated here, and the IP will be 10.1.0. After 68 it will be 69. So this is my IP address, subnet range of my keyword. And then what happens is, the remaining two web apps and function apps. So my two web apps and function apps require a high space. So what I will do, remaining, I'll put it as RAG remaining. So remaining, then I will allocate, I need around the remaining, it will be only half of that, less than half I have allocated. Then what I will do is, I will take it to address ranges 10.1.0.0 divided by 26. So what happens is, my 128 address space will be allocated here. So what here 128 will be allocated. Out of that 128, what it will be starting is 10.1.0.70 till it will allocate 198. Yeah, it will allocate till 10.1.0.1 128 plus 7, 197. So it will allocate till here. So it will distribute based on the subnets that you have created. It will distribute here. So what you can name it as subnet 1 here, and then you can name it as subnet 2. And based on the IP address range you have selected, the IP address will be allocated automatically. So if you provision for okay, after dynamic and static I'll explain later. You have got the concept of what is subnet and what is virtual network, and how we have divided this network into different multiple parts. You are having any queries, you can ask here, or else I will move to the next one. So these are the very basic concepts, you should understand them very clearly. If you are having any queries also, you can ask me.
You mean after backslash it is related to subnet?
See, after /, it will divide the IP ranges into number of parts. So what is the number? That number you are specifying there. Okay. After /. So we have given, I have given the syntax right, /0 those things.
But here you said subnet 1, subnet 2 like this, no?
Yeah,
Here.
see, subnet 1 also, but how many address spaces I am allocating depends upon its number. Okay. It is like a number only. Okay. It is not, you should not think like it is a repeatable component.
Okay.
Okay, understand?
But how you are giving different subnets here? I did not get that point.
See, I just have assumed like my architecture is two web apps, two functions, one keyword and one VM. So I have allocated first VM here and then one subnet and then for apps, remaining apps and functions I have allocated this way. Okay, this is like an example I have took one
Okay.
example here. Okay, moving forward. So you will be having a concept of static IP address and dynamic IP address. So you should understand this what is difference between static and dynamic IP address. So static IP address is in the sense once you have created any resource in the Azure, you will be having a allocated an IP address for this. It will be like a static thing. So it will not change even though if you have restarted or rebooted the device. Okay. Let's say I have created a virtual machine. I have got a requirement like I need to create a virtual machine. So what I will do, I will go to my portal, and then after going to my portal, I will go to the VM, and I will create my one new VM. Create new VM. So while creation of new VM, it will ask like whether your IP address is like under the networking tab. It will ask like whether your IP address will be static or dynamic. If you choose static IP address, so one IP address will be allocated. Let's say it will be allocated 10.1.0. Says it 247. Let's say this IP address got allocated to my VM. So this IP address will be as it is even though if my machine got rebooted. Okay, rebooted or you have deallocated will throw away the IV, rebooted or you have stopped state or then you have started it again. So even if you have changed any operations, if you have performed on this network IP will be static and it will not change. Whereas coming to the dynamic IP address, what happens is first as soon as you have created a resource, your IP will be allocated. Let's say I have allocated with 10.0.1.0.53. So what happens is if my if my mission is not in a if I wanted to stop this mission because it is getting charged for the way I am using. So what I will do, I will go to my virtual machine and I will stop this resource VM. So I will stop this VM because I did not want it to have a more cost on me. After stopping this VM, what it will do is it will release this IP address. It will not hold this IP address. So once you start the VM, one more new IP will be allocated based on the whatever is available there. So let's say it will allocate some 59 or 68 something, some random thing. So this is the main difference between static and dynamic IP address allocations. So how we are choosing this IP address while creation, this it will be matter. So this is a simple thing only. I will go to my PPT.
Manu, what is natting here?
Sorry,
Natting.
natting.
Yeah.
Where you come across that?
Related to websites related on similar to this only.
Yeah,
No exact.
see NAT rules we have the concept of how to create a NAT rules and how to allow the traffic and everything that we have in the upcoming main session. You are talking that only, right? NAT rules.
Natting means I don't know exactly, but previously I heard
No,
from
then
someone.
we'll explain. No need to worry. Okay.
Yeah, means if there is how to in website name after that sub website like that. If you are having multiple websites with same domain at that time, there will do some they will do some natting like that.
So for Azure, we will be having some different DNS and domain concept. But NATing, you can check and let me know what is exactly you are asking that exactly. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So coming to the subnet, where we have stopped in the PPT. So as you have seen, we have one virtual network and we have segmented that network into multiple subnets, one or more subnets. So and the subnets also provides logical division within a subnet. How we have divided logical is based on the IP range that we have taken. So like /32 /21 /24 like that. So and one more thing is subnet can improve our security, increase performance, and make it easier to manage your network. So how we can easily simply classify is all my app services are placed under the subnet. My VM is placed under the subnet. My keyword is placed under the subnet. So you can easily categorize these subnets. So coming to second part, each subnet consists of range of IP address that fall within the virtual network address space. So you have understand this point, right? So each subnet, consider the subnet 1 or subnet 2 and anything. So what is the IP address that was there here? 10.1.0.27. This address range definitely will fall under this virtual network address range only. That is what the point that is discussed here. And then the range must be unique with the address space for the virtual network. Okay, so consider the VM. This is it is having a unique address space. Coming to the keyword, it is having the unique in the sense it should not overlap. Like after 68, it should not overlap again with 68 one more creation. So that is nothing but it is having a unique character here. And then the range cannot overlap with the, as we have now just now discussed, it should not overlap with the other subnet ranges. The address space must be specified by the classless interdomain routing notation. So what is the classless interdomain routing notation? Just now we have discussed it. It is also called a slash notation because it is ending with a slash character of, it is deciding the number of blocks that it should be assigning. Here we consider x dot y dot z dot w slash n. X dot y dot z dot w is your IP address, and n is the called a mask or number of bits. N is nothing but is called a mask slash 24 slash 32 something, whatever the number we are predicting, we are giving, it is called the mask or number of bits that is used in the network ID. So based on that number only we are deciding how many blocks will be allocated. So as I have discussed earlier, the size of the block should be the power of 2. So we have, so 32 is 2 power 0, 31 is 2 power 1, like that we have dedicatedly assigned, right? Those are the things that we have shown in the PPT. And we have firstly discussed, right? The first 4 IP addresses will be reserved and the last IP address will be reserved based on for the each and every subnet. So this is what we have discussed now. And coming to this IP address types, so there will be two types of IP addresses: private IP address and public IP address. So public IP address is nothing but whatever the resource that was there in the Azure, which is facing to the outside world or to the internet that is being exposed, that falls under the public IP address. Whereas private IP address is nothing but it is related to the internal things. So if you are communicating to the virtual network, on-premises network, VPN gateway, express out. So what are the dedicatedly private resources that are there? Those if you are communicating them, it is accessing through the private IP address. So you will be having an option like whether you wanted to create a public or private IP address. So it depends upon the use case scenario what you are doing. So one more thing what we have discussed is static versus dynamic addressing. So which we have discussed just now is, while static is it will be present on the same IP address all the time, whereas coming to the dynamic address it will be changing whenever you restart and do all the things. So and these are some situations where you will be having the static address like IP address based security models that requires, okay, so if you wanted to have any security implementations, then you will be having in the static IP address, because if the IP address is changing each and every time, you should have store this IP address in the required target environment where you are monitoring. Okay, I'll show you how it is. Okay, consider a VM. Okay, let us consider this VM, static VM 10.47. What I will do is I have created an generally you will be having an Azure monitor in I am giving an example only. Consider this is an Azure monitor. Generally the use case scenario will be very different, but I am giving for explanation only. Consider this is an Azure monitor. What you have done in the Azure monitor, you have given an IP like monitor this IP 10.1.0.47. So what it will do is this monitor, Azure monitor, it will monitor the resource that is allocated with this IP address. So generally the IP address, the Azure resource that was allocated with this IP is nothing but my VM. It is not. So what happens? It will monitor this VM and it will say if any flaws are there, if any recommendations that are need to be done, it will show in here. So if what happens is, if suppose if you are not choosing a static IP, if you are choosing dynamic IP, okay, I will go to the second case. I will take my Azure monitor once again here. Consider this is my Azure monitor. Okay, Azure monitor. Now what I have done is I have allocated the address range of 10.1.0.53. So initially this is my IP address which was allocated dynamically. Now what happens is the Azure monitor will try to monitor this VM that was at 10.1.0.53. But what happens is I have stopped my VM, I have started it again. Then what happens is my address will be deallocated this with this one, my new address will be allocated. But in my Azure monitor, it will try to ping this address only, this IP address only. But that IP address is not there as of now because it was deallocated and it was allocated with a new IP address. So in this type of situations, you will be facing this issue come when you are with the dynamic IP address. So based on the scenario, you should be choosing the wisely. So that is the different things. And if you are linking any TLS certificates to the IP address, and if you are
Banu,
yeah,
what in real time, what will you use, like static only, right?
yeah, generally we'll go with static only. Static
Dynamic, where it is used dynamic address?
So as of now, I did not see anywhere dynamic address is being used. But there might be scenarios where we can use that one also. But most probably they will be preferring the static IP address only, because to monitoring these all the things, it will be very useful. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And then if you wanted to have a role-based VM such as domain controllers or DNS servers, so though in all these scenarios, the static address only preferred. So that is why they have mentioned the same too. Okay. Considering creation of then IP address. So here, generally, if you go, you can go to the portal and you can see this like how to create a public IP address. You can go to the home and click on public address. You can see what is the version you wanted to have: IP version, IPv4, IPv6, and what is the SKU, the standard or dynamic. I mean standard or basic. If you go for the standard tier, you will be having more some more benefits. Where coming to the basic things, you can. I have stated all these points in this topic. You can go through this PPT once I have shared with you, and you can see the what is the name of your having, and what is the IP address assignment. If you wanted to have a static assignment, if you want to have a dynamic assignment, so these are all the things you can have, and then you can create your public IP address. And if you wanted to associate this public IP address, you can associate with the respected resource also. So this regarding this dynamic and static, what is the points we have discussed, it was stated here. So dynamic IP address is nothing but if a machine is stopped or deallocated, then the IP address will be I mean it will be created once again. Whereas in static it will be not be created. So these are the points are mentioned here. Okay, I will show you one lab scenario. So this will be very useful here. So what is the lab scenario here is, suppose if you are having an organization. So in your organization, what you are doing is you are migrating a network infrastructure and virtual machines to Azure. So what is the scenario is, I am having an, okay, I'll go here. So this is my on-premises environment. Let's say this is my TechWithUs on-premises. TechWithUs on-premises environment. So TechWithUs on-premises environment. Now what I am doing, what is the requirement is, here I need to migrate my virtual machines into the Azure environment. So now what I have is, I have two virtual machines here in my on-premises. So this is my virtual machine 1 and this is my virtual machine 2. So okay, this is my VM1 and consider this is my VM2. So in the on-premises, as all the I mean all the infrastructure is in the same region, what happens is the connectivity is it will be establishing directly, because it is in the same region and in the same building also. So what happens is you can connect them through the cables, and then you can have establish this connection very easily. So if you wanted to ping this, okay, instead of directly assigning, so you will be having to connect it to one server, and then through the cables you will be connected to the one more server. Let us consider this is a one more server where you all the interactions will be happening. So whenever a VM is trying to contact to the VM2, the request will go to the okay, the request will go to the server here, and then the request will be gone into the VM, and this ping will be happening. So you will be having a centralized server, and all the things will be happening through the centralized server. This is in the on-premises. Now, what is your target is, your I mean, any organization, well, let's say TechWithUs is migrating the network infrastructure and virtual machines to the Azure. As an Azure administrator, what you should do is configure your virtual networks and subnets, connect remotely to Azure virtual applications using RDP, verify virtual machines in the same virtual network can communicate. So I should communicate this VM1 and VM2. So for this, what I'm doing is, first what I will do is, I will go to my portal and create a virtual network, and I will give the address space here, and I will create a subnet of with something named default, and I will give this address space. Then I will create two virtual machines. I will put the two virtual machines in the same network, because in the on-premises also this virtual machine and this virtual machine are placed in the same network. So I will do the same thing. VM1 I will create in same network, and VM2 I will create in the same network. and I will allow inbound RDP. Ensure both virtual machines are deployed and running before continuing. Okay. So now all my two VMs are up and running. I will do the test virtual machine connection. So I will disable the public and private defender of the both the virtual machines. I will do the PowerShell ping command. So this is my task I will do now. Let's start here. I'll go to my portal. Okay. So I'll go to my portal. What I will do is I'll create my virtual network. So I'll go to my virtual network. I'll create a new VNet, new virtual network. So hope you understand the requirement what we are trying. So what is the requirement we got is we should migrate our on-premises virtual network and the virtual machines to the Azure environment. So what I'll do is I'll create a resource group like migration. So this is my resource group, and then I'll put the instance. I mean, what is the network name is VNet. I'm putting here. I'll try to place it in okay Central US as of now, and then next IP address. So what are the IP address? So I need to allocate. So for now I need to have a 16 address 16 by 16. So what is happening is I am allocating 65536 address spaces. So I'm getting allocated with 656 address spaces, and then I am okay. I'll delete this one. Okay, and I will try to give her 10.1.0.0/16. Okay, I think it is overlapping. I'll give 4 elevator. Okay, so okay, I'm giving the 4 address pages, and then I'll create a subnet. So what I'll do is what is the subnet name I'm giving is, let's say vnet subnet 1. I'll give subnet 1, let's say. Then I will allocate my address range here, 10.4.0.0 divided by 24. So I am taking 251 address spaces here. So when I create this address range, you can see here only you can use 251 and 5 are Azure reserved in address spaces. So which we have discussed just now. Then I will select add here. So my subnet is added here. Then I'll go to my security. So if you want to disable or enable and you can do anything. So as of now, I'll keep it as it is, and then I'll go to tags, review and create, and then I will create my address. I'm creating my virtual network. So I am creating network in the Azure now. So after creating the network, what I should do? Okay, I'm clicked on create. So let the virtual network be created. Now in parallelly, what I'll do is I'll try to create my two virtual machines here. The first goal I have achieved. So what is nothing but creating the virtual network. So this thing I have done. So we have created a virtual network and then created a subnet like subnet 1. Now what I will do is I'll create two VMs. Okay, let me go to the portal. So my VNet is getting created. I'll go to the portal here. Okay, let me see. Okay, my VNet got created, virtual network. So in this virtual network, you can see the what are the address spaces that are there, and you can see what are the connected devices that are attached here. So this address, I am having this total IP address are there, and what are the subnets you have? You can see here. I have only one subnet here. So I will try to place the everything two virtual machines the same subnet. I'll go to my home and I'll go to my virtual machines. I'll create a virtual machine here. Parallelly, I'll open one more portal also. It is getting slow. Okay. So now I am here creating a virtual machine. So I'll choose a resource group as migration here, where we have chosen, and then the virtual machine I'll put it as VM1, and then region I'll give with central US, or you have selected central. Okay. as it is an east US. Let me see whether central US is present because everything is there. Okay, I'll go with east US then. And then availability options, as of now I am not taking anything. I'll go to standard. I'll go with the Windows, and then I will go with my username and password. I have set the password here, and then I selected imports. I'll give like HTTPS and then give it here, and then I'll go with this. So what I'll do is I will go with my disk type as standard SSD only as of now, and then I'll go to the networking. So this is the very important concept we are trying to discuss. Now instead of creating a new virtual network, I will choose the existing one here. So what is my okay? I'm trying to create another location. Okay, let me do one thing. I'll create a one more virtual network in the same east use location because it was in the other location. It was not trying to take it here. So I'll create a new virtual network here. Okay, resource group migration, and then name I'll give vnet one, and I'll give it as east US, and then click on IP address. So here I'll give okay 10.6 it is not taking, and default is this one. I'll keep it as it is because we are creating one IP address, and then we are creating one subnet with default name as 24 address spaces, and then click on review and create, and I'm creating this subnet. I am creating this virtual network completely. So let my virtual network get created. So meanwhile I'll open the virtual machines. Okay, let this get created. We'll wait for 1 minute. Meanwhile I'll try to create this other VM also parallelly. My virtual network is getting spinned up now. Okay, so this my virtual network got spinned up. I will go to the disks networking. Okay, let me refresh the screen. I think it is not taking that. Meanwhile I'll try to create here migration resource group, and then I'll give my virtual machine name as VM2 here. Region I will give East US, and then I'll choose the image as Windows, and I will give my username and password. So I given the username and password. I'll give HTTPS, and then I'll go to the next disk. This I will go with standard SSD and go to the networking. Let me see whether I got. See here you can see now VNet. What is the network that we have created now? Virtual network one. So I am attaching my virtual network one to my virtual machine. So and then I will see the what is the subnet I am having. I will have the default subnet. I am using this default subnet. And if you are having any public IP, you will be having, or else you can create a new public IP here. So if you wanted to see, if you can see the options like what is the VM. If you wanted to have a standard or basic, and what is the assignment you have, you can choose all the things here. So you can choose anything here. Automatically it's taking that one. And what is this network security, NIC card and everything will I'll explain in the upcoming things. So this is the networking thing. So what I have done is here in the virtual network I have selected my already the virtual network that I have created and the subnet that I have already created here. I'll go to my management section. So in the management, we don't have anything to change. Let us keep as it is. Monitoring, I'll disable my boost diagnetics because it will create one more storage account. Then I will go to my advanced options. I'll keep as it is. Tags, review and create. Okay, I'll click on create once my validation is completed. It is getting validated. Okay, I'll click on create button. So what happens is my VM2 is getting created. The similar way I will go to my other tab and I'll create my virtual machine 1. So I'm going to my resource group migration and choosing here virtual machine 1, and the region I'm selecting East US, and then I'm going with my Windows 2019 image. Then I will give my username and password. I'll give my password here. So I have given here admin user and password, and select my HTTP and HTTPS traffic here, and I'll go to my disk. This I'll choose as standard SSD here as of now. Go to my networking here. So in the networking tab, I'll choose my virtual network one and the same what is the one that I have in migration resource group, and then choose the default subnet, and I'll create my new IP here. The same thing I have chosen. I'll go to my management, monitoring. I'll disable my boost diagnetics. Go to advanced tags, review and create. So once my validation is completed, my VM1 will also be getting spinned up. So let me go here. So I'm creating my virtual machine here. So the VM2 is getting created, and VM1 I have just now triggered. So as of now, what we have done is, okay, so we have created a virtual network, and then we have created a subnet here with the same IP address range spaces, and then I have created a virtual machine 1, and we have created a virtual machine 2. So now the third thing is ensure both virtual machines are deployed and running before continuing. Okay, let us wait for till it is deployed. Now what I should do is I will test the virtual machine connection, because the same what is the architecture diagram it is displaying here, the same I am trying to replicate here. I am creating a VM1 and VM2 in a default subnet and a virtual network. So we are placing the two VMs in a separate network here. So and we are as the both are in the separate network, what we will do is we can directly ping virtual machine 2 from virtual machine 1. So if we are able to ping them, what is the thing is we are able to establish the secure connection between the two VMs. So that is the one we are able to test now here. Okay, now that the VM1 and VM2 gets pinned up, disable the public and private defender over firewall on both virtual machines. Connect to VM1 with RDP. Okay, both are getting created. Okay, both are getting created. So I will try to connect now here. It's a bit slow actually. So I'll download this RDP file. Try to connect here. Okay, actually I need to stop the recording for a while. In a second I'll stop this. So what I'll do is now I'll try to log into this two VMs and I'll start recording again. So what we have done till now is I have stopped the recording for a while to enter the username and password. So now I have logged into the VM1 and VM2 parallelly. So VM1 is having the IP address of 172.174 so, dot 56 to 26. VM2 is having IP address of 20.120.18.102. So here now I'll try to log in VM2. Okay, VM1 I will log in first. So 172.174. Here 172.174 is this one. So I will clear the screen here. Okay. So now what is my target is I should be able to ping the VM2 mission from VM1. Now currently I am in VM1. Now what I will do is I will hit the command like ping VM2. So I am trying to ping my VM2. So now you can see the response rate. It is able to ping the VM2 from virtual machine 1. Now I will do the vice versa. I will log into my VM2. VM2 IP is 20.128.18.102. Now I am going to 20.128.18.102. I will how I am opening the PowerShell is I'll show you once again. So here, click on search here. In the search at the bottom, type for PowerShell. POWERSHELL PowerShell and open the PowerShell first one. Now currently I am in VM2. Now I should ping VM1. Ping VM1 and I'm hitting enter. VM1 is nothing but the name of the virtual machine what you have given. So here I am getting the response. So this is nothing but we are able to, okay, I'll go to the paint here. Now what we are trying to achieve is from VM1 I am able to ping VM2, from VM2 I am able to ping VM1. So in the same subnet and VNet we are hosting two VMs and we are able to ping the both of the VMs. So our task is accomplished. So okay, we have a quick question here. Suppose the subnet, okay, we will discuss it tomorrow. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining the call. I'm stopping the recording. We'll meet tomorrow.